All right. And we're back. It's another Neville and Chill with friends. Hello, Frank.
Hey Josiah, how's it
Hey,
going?
great. It is I'm so glad that you were available to come on and have a little chat with me tonight. How's it going
Totally.
for you?
It's going great. I think last time, yeah, you said I was here on the 7th of last month, which went by so fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, just doing my meditation earlier today, I realized something I'd like to share later. It's like it's not even like a big thing, but it's just like always a surprise.
Yeah. Always a surprise. You're just gonna plant that seed and just just let that sit.
Yeah, we can unpack it later.
Okay, okay. We'll unpack that
How,
later. Get back
how
to Frank's surprise. Yeah.
how about you? What's been
Yeah.
going on?
I'm feeling pretty good today. So before I do these Neville and chills, I go and I do my hot yoga practice for
Oh,
90 minutes in 105-degree heat.
oh man.
Yeah. It's hot and it's wet, it's humid, and I'm stretching and doing yoga for 90 minutes. And it gets me
Oh.
super loose and very relaxed, just because it's my yoga practice. And then I come home and made myself a smoothie with superfood, and it gets me feeling really good. And we're about to get into some beverages a little bit later. So yeah, man, it is a good life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Man,
great.
90
Hey,
minutes.
so
That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, 90 minutes. Yeah, exactly. 105-degree heat. I love it though. I hate it and I love it. It's one of those
Hmm.
things. And I'm not the only one. I
Is
get
it
into
because
the
you
locker
live
room.
up in the
Yeah.
north? Is that why?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's part of it. Yeah. But I get in the locker room afterwards, and like more often than not, there's someone else that's kind of groaning, and it's like, why do we do
Oh,
this?
dang. Oh, dang.
Yeah, but the payoff, it's like anything. Like when you really do something and you really mean it and you really invest your energy into it, like sometimes it's not that fun to actually do, but you get the payoff in the back end.
Hmm.
And I feel like th this metaphor of like doing something you don't necessarily enjoy doing in the moment, but knowing that there's a reward coming for it later, not being time preference. I want to unpack that later with you, this idea of
Hmm.
extreme time preference, because
Okay.
that's been something I've been sitting with this week. But like, okay, so example, like, time preference would be in the next 90 minutes, maybe I don't want to sweat in a 105-degree room while doing 26 yoga postures.
Oh my
But I know
goodness.
that, if I take away the time preference, if I remove that from the equation, I know that I'm going to feel better later. And I
Hmm.
know that in the macro over time, I'm doing my body a big favor, and I'm going to be young for many years, with this
Yeah.
practice. So it's like I'm willing to be discomfort, enter my therapeutic discomfort for
Hmm.
for 180 minutes a week, knowing that in the end I'm getting that big payoff. So,
Yeah,
you know,
totally. It's okay. It's what I tell myself
it's
if
okay.
I'm in like some sort of situation that I'm purposely doing for like a payoff. Tell myself it's all right.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. You could just it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's not comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just gonna do it anyways. I have to tell myself there's a lot of times when it's like almost yoga time and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, it's okay. We're gonna do it anyways.
Dang. Yeah.
We're just gonna go and do it. And usually those times I get there, and as soon as I'm there and I walk into the studio and I see all the beaming faces, it's great community. They're like, "Hi, Josiah. So good to see you." Instantly, I'm like, I made the right decision. I'm
Good.
exactly where
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
good stuff. We got some folks joining us. Look at you, Frank, doing the multitasking. You're typing in the chat and talking in
Yeah,
the
Anna was the first one here.
Anna. Awesome. Oh yeah. We got Anna. We got Stasio and Jackie.
Hi,
Got two
Jackie.
channel members here. Oksana. Oksana, you've been a channel member basically forever. Thank you for that. Thank you for your constant presence. Good evening. And Crystal, did we miss some? No, we just started Crystal Clear. We just started. We are just we just wasted no time. We just jumped right in and started talking about therapeutic discomfort. And how
Yeah,
important
there we
it is to
go.
sometimes do things we don't want to do if we know that
Hmm.
there's a payoff in the end.
Hmm. Oh, hey,
And we've
Carrie.
got, yeah, we've got Carrie, my lovely spouse, joining us from the
Right
couch
on. Right
downstairs.
on.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right, Frank. Well, I think we got a couple more people hopping on here while we're getting started here. We're just at the beginning. All right, so I'm already ready for my beverage. So what are you drinking tonight, Frank?
So there's this Asian marketplace that is local that
Yeah.
they sell chrysanthemum tea
Ooh.
in these boxes, and it's of
Ooh.
course loaded with sugar, but like
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
That's great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay,
Yep.
so chrysanthemum tea.
Hmm.
So I
Yep.
had a vision
Hmm.
back in 2016.
Hmm.
Maybe you remember this. I've shared it a couple of times. I had a vision back in 2016 where I met Neville Goddard. And in this
Okay.
vision, he was
Whoa.
showing me a beautiful, very expertly well manicured garden that was a metaphor for the lives that we can write for ourselves to experience when our imagination is awake and we are in the
Hmm.
state of being the author. And the flowers that he walked me over to illustrate this point were chrysanthemums.
Oh, nice.
He told me, he indicated to me that chrysanthemum was his favorite flower. So you're channeling some Neville energy there with your chrysanthemum tea.
Awesome. Yeah, I like it. It's my
Fantastic.
favorite. There's this
Cheers.
restaurant locally. Yeah, and I was like, "What is this?" And I opened the teapot. I was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" So yeah.
There was actual flowers in there. See,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool. Yeah. All right. So tonight I'm on Hayo. It's been a theme lately. I've had some Hayo. So
What
Carrie
is that?
ordered a multi-pack. So this is the functional social tonic. It's called Hayo.
Oh,
I like this company. I like the brand. I love the drinks. But the reason I like the company, I like the brand, is that they have sponsored some events that I was doing in 2023. I was having these cacao ceremonies and dance parties at my yoga studio.
nice.
And is like this whole, there's like this massive sober movement happening right now across the world. A lot of people are like, you know what? I kind of want to figure out what life is like with, when I'm sober. So it's kind of like this
All right.
initiative that's happening. And so these cacao ceremony and dance party had kind of a sober element to it. Like it's a Friday night, you could go out drinking, or you could come to, a high vibe cacao dance party, which is kind of like an alternative. So I sent this company an email and I said, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm hosting these cacao ceremonies, and it's this sober lifestyle alternative to going out and I was like, and you have this drink that is a functional non-alcoholic seltzer or tonic, I should say, is the words they use. And I was like, and I think there's a lot of people that are coming to these events who would really appreciate what you do. And I got an email back, and they're like, yep, we just sent you a 24 pack. Enjoy.
Nice.
I was like, heck yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Very
So,
cool.
to Hiyo for that. Thank you for being a stand-up company and just, making our lives a little bit better. That was nice. They actually did it twice, so that was cool.
Very
Uh,
cool.
and the flavor that I'm drinking tonight, ooh, is watermelon lime. One of my
Nice.
favorites. Yeah. And it has I'm not going to read the whole list because it's largely the same as last time. The key ones are ashwagandha, passion flower extract, and lion's mane.
Okay.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Like actual from
Organic.
a
Well,
lion?
it says no, the mushroom, right? The mushroom, like,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I thought they were like,
So it's the extract. I wish.
that
Well,
would be
maybe I don't.
insane.
It depends on if the lion's happy about it. If
It just needs a
the
haircut.
It does. It just needs a haircut. Yeah. And
Oh
then
my
we get the
goodness.
magic of the mane. Yeah. Cool. All right. To Neville and Chill.
Cheers. All right.
Cheers. To everyone on the live stream, cheers. Oh, that is watermelon and lime are genius flavors
Mm,
combined. Putting those two
mm,
together, absolute genius. I love it. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
This is
Well
this
done.
is literally like 70% sugar.
Okay, so you're loving it.
It's
You're probably
so
gonna
much
get giggly
sugar.
later, huh?
It's my third one in the last half hour.
Yeah, you'll get a little giggly later. That's
Oh,
all right. We're here
oh
for
my
it. It's Neville
goodness.
and Chill. That's good. All right, so I'm gonna check out the chat here for a minute, and then I got something for you, Frank.
All right.
Stasio says, recently I had an elaborate dream with Neville in it. In short, I thanked him, explained how his teachings had helped me in life. He gave me a kiss on the cheek, and it felt so real that I woke up.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. So Neville was, I think the correct term for it may be a class act. He's a very classy man.
Hmm.
He was not aristocrat by birth. But I remember him saying, I am of the aristocracy of God.
Mm.
God is my family and foundation. It's like wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I came from God. That is my aristocracy. And he, being the man that he was, he rubbed shoulders and hung out with all types of people, but also included the socially elite. So he was a very very classy fellow in general. And yeah, so like in your vision, he's giving you a kiss on the cheek. That's like a very classy thing to do. In my dream, he was dressed in like a full tuxedo because we were at a dinner party in this vision that I had of him. And it's like this gorgeous mansion and dinner party, and everybody's dressed in their full. I mean, he had like the tails on the tuxedo. It was like a full-on
Nice.
traditional tuxedo. And when he led me out into the garden, he like offered me his arm, like in a very gentlemanly way. And I thought that was just like very true to his like the just like the vibes this man exuded.
Hmm.
So very cool. Very cool. All right, Frank. So last time we talked,
Hmm.
um, I sent you as a gift
Yeah.
Shakti mat
Yeah.
with a pillow. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have to remind the viewers because not everybody necessarily watched our last one. Okay, so what is a Shakti mat? So a Shakti mat is actually Frank, you describe it. What is a Shakti mat?
So it's like I was using it earlier today. It's this mat. It looks like it's 3 by 2 feet, and it's got these little like circles throughout the whole thing, and they have these tiny spikes, maybe like how many, like 12 spikes on each of them. And
Yeah.
so you've got these tiny little spikes that I like to put a little tiny thin layer of fabric over it.
Is it
And
a little too
sometimes,
intense?
sometimes it is,
Yeah.
but the first time I used it, it was really nice. I think like I just haven't been working out or something. I just haven't been active.
Yes.
So I noticed that any type of massage,
Yeah.
it actually like kind of hurts if I'm not, moving around. But once I lay down on it and it becomes like normalized, it actually like helps me relax.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is funny because I was asking you like how is that possible on the last time I was here?
yeah. Okay. So spike mat, right? So spike mat, 3 by 2. He also has the pillow, these little circular discs with spikes on them on this mat. You lay down on it, and each of these little spikes stimulates an acupressure point across your whole back and neck. So it's like so the way we've described it last time was it's very intense sensation of discomfort at first, and then the endorphins kick in. And for me, I mean, it takes about 7 or 8 minutes to really get in there, but then I get this really intense, like blissed out feeling. I feel like almost high from my endorphins that are just like rushing. And then it opens up all of the energy channels around the neck and spine, which makes it a phenomenal meditation aid for traveling in your awareness. So, Frank,
Hmm.
have you found that blissed out state of endorphins?
I found that relaxation,
Okay.
that extra relaxation, but I've
Yes.
never really had, anything more than that, like in my
Okay.
life. But
Oh,
yeah. I find that it's cool to use it.
Yeah. Have you tried it for a brainwave meditation?
I haven't yet. I've only used it, man, I should do that. I've only used it with the this is the only thing that I really use for my meditations, which is the I cut it short at 20 minutes. It's actually like 23 and a half minutes or something. It's that track that you had given us as students like 5 years ago. And I still use that track as the guided meditation. So I put that on. It's like 20 minutes. And yeah, that's what I use it for.
Is that the feeling of the wish fulfilled? Heart
It's
brain.
yeah, it's the HBC one.
Yeah.
HBCV.
HBCV with values.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's the one.
I remember that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's why you're still doing it 5 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honored, but also that's really cool. It was a good one.
hmm
Wow, awesome. HBCV. Yeah. Um, so HBC is heart brain coherence, or now the scientists have now shortened to just heart coherence because it's not just heart brain, it's actually gut, heart, brain. So just, make it
Mm.
simple, heart coherence. And then through my proprietary courses that I teach at the School of Imagination, we took this scientific principle of heart coherence that has been explored in depth by the Heart Math Institute. And I made a proprietary meditation incorporating the scientific principles and then added a component that matched the coursework. So in this, I think it was the 99-day course,
Yeah.
it's like this intensive deep dive into creating and recreating your life using your awake imagination. There's a section of that where we really talk a lot about manifesting in alignment with your values. And there's prompts. You go and you define your values. What is going to define you as the writer of reality. And once you've defined your values, then you take them into this meditation, and you soak yourself in the vibes of these of heart coherence combined with this sense that you're experiencing now, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, which is basically experiencing your values in action, in motion. They're alive and real. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
very
it's
cool. So you're still
crazy.
doing that 5 years later, and that's like your
Yeah.
thing that you come
Yeah,
back.
it's like I love how there's no fluff. It's like boiled down to the essential, basic, foundational things that need to happen. And that's what I like.
Yeah.
That's what I found out that that's what I really like. And so I don't really like I still do the binaural beats like occasionally, but those take a long time. It's
Yes.
like half an hour for like one session, but
Yes.
like I want to do the next session, but apparently I can't get to the next session if I don't do the first session. So I have to do the first one. So
Is
then
that the
that's in
ones that
like
I
an
sent you, or
hour.
is that a different one?
The which one?
No, the binaural one.
This one is the one where it's like it's got like four stages. And first it's like a deep dive, and then after that half hour, then it's like second step, which takes you deeper.
Is the first one called The Dive?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is the one that I sent you. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. So, yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's the whole point is to use them to get stacked together.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a secret. So it's not really a secret anymore because I talk about our Neville and Chill. When you stack all of those tracks together, so you're basically like relaxing your brain and then like dropping down in brainwave levels over time. That's how you can access some very, very profound states of consciousness and
Yeah.
awareness.
I've
Because
only done the the two
okay, yeah,
like one time.
yeah, all
I need to
right,
find time to do that again.
yeah. It can take some practice. Sometimes I used to listen to it at the end of the day when I'm in bed already. But the whole point is to learn to stay awake while your brain waves go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
like that's kind of the point. So it's a little bit counterproductive. So once I realized that, because it's been a whole journey of like learning how to do these things. Once I realized that, I started making it nap time. So, like nap time, state akin to sleep nap time. So,
Hmm.
just in the afternoon when I'd have a little bit of of a break, I'd just lay down and do the 30-minute
Mm,
track and then stay awake during that time, but I'm reclined. And then that's the whole point is that we're learning to our keep our focus and attention while we're getting into the portal state of awareness, which is state akin to sleep, and also where our our subconscious is very receptive to images that
hmm.
we plant,
Yeah.
getting that fertile state of mind.
You know what I noticed with with what's in my head and how I actually like to learn and how I like to execute things and make
Yeah.
decisions is like I like to gather all the info that I can,
Okay.
and I'll ask people questions, and people might be confused like why am I asking these questions, but I'm just gathering data for myself because I will figure out how I want to use the information,
Uh-huh.
and this will help me make a decision on what I want to do next or
Yeah.
how I want to carry something out.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of data like aggregation. There's a term for it.
Accumulation.
Accumulation, yeah. And so it's funny because when I see these like the bridge of incidents leading to these instances when I realize, oh, in my memory, I remember when I imagined this, and I remember when I imagined this. But when I experience that, it's actually like so many different things at the same time. So like all these little things in my consciousness, they are like orchestrated to come together that I would have never thought to like put together. So like for example, for the past year, I had been like meeting so many different potential suitors, like all these different women. I would go on these first dates and being like increasing my social skills because of my work, and then realizing, oh, I can just be myself. So just like meet all these people. Eventually, it's funny because I went to this boba shop in town, and it's this cool boba shop they just opened, and it's called Shot Tea because they put like alcohol in the boba. So like
Okay.
and so I hung out there because I was just in the area after this Chinese New Year event, and I was talking to the lady that owns the place, and then she talked about how she manifests things, she writes things down. And then after that, like after all those Chinese New Year events, I started to, when I would post on Instagram, I would just hashtag and put it right there where you could see it. Hashtag like Chinese girls, hashtag Chinese like sexy Chinese girl or something like that. Just
Okay.
because I was in like a Chinese New Year thing, and I was just I've been looking for some like lady that could meet my standards. And so I'm just doing this for fun.
Okay.
And
And for
it's like
science, let's be honest, it's
yeah,
for science.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. And so like I'm typing this like almost, multiple times a week. And then finally, one of my friends, she tells me, just stop chasing after these ladies. And I'm like, they're not what you're calling them. They're people too. And, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I kind of, that was like the indicator for me to kind of just like stop trying to force, like, because I started to get on this roll. I was like on a roll. Like, first it was like one date a week, then it was like 2 dates a week, then it was like 3 dates a week, just when I'm off. And people are like, oh, you have a lady for like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, Friday. And I'm like, no. So I let it go. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just let it go. I won't try to just like impress myself. And then finally, it happened like one, two, three, where I met this Chinese woman. Number one thing is that she's emotionally mature and she knows what she wants. She has goals, and she happened to be a realtor. She is a realtor. She is also like uh basically an entrepreneur in other things and other licensed things. And I asked her for a date. I actually didn't. I said, "Hey, let's go to lunch."
Yeah.
And then that went well. And then the next week, I texted her, "Hey, where do you want to go for our second date?" So like assuming that the first one was a date, even though I never called it. And
Yeah.
then she was like, "Yeah, let's go on Tuesday or whatever." And so it was like one after the other. And the whole time I'm thinking like she's like meeting my standards. It's great.
Yes. Yes.
And so like now like all of the values that I've been looking for years, like actually years, is like now in place. It's pretty insane.
In your relationship, meaning you
Hmm.
had this idea of the woman that you want to be with, and you focused on it while what? Increasing your frequency of contact, I guess.
Well, so it's just funny because it's everything in my consciousness
Yeah.
that came together. So
Oh, okay.
like the
Yep.
farthest back I can trace this was like 2021,
Okay.
where I started to imagine on purpose and I would do these meditations very diligently, the same HBCV, but in my imagination,
Yeah.
in the visualization part, I would visualize like just a couple people around me that really love me and that I love them. And it's a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was in the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And so now I look around me and it's like a dream come true. It's like I can't believe it. But it came from way back then when I made that shift in 2021. But then like I had no idea what kind of background this person is gonna be.
Yep.
But it's when I started going to all these Chinese New Year events, I was like, oh dang, these girls are pretty cool. So it's like it's then I started to realize, it's so true. Just like fill my mind with the things that I want, imagine wisely, like you always say at the end of
Yep.
your videos,
Yep.
and like try to I try to keep the negativity to a minimum.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
it's crazy. So like now it's like it'll happen according to like what's in my consciousness. And if there's something there that I don't want to be part of my life, then
Hmm.
I need to find that because sometimes it's hard to find those limiting beliefs for me. So yeah, it's like it's really exciting how these manifestations happen. And I know that every moment is a manifestation. But like
Yes.
this was like kind of is very purposeful.
Yep. Intentional.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said there about how what happens in your life is drawn from the storehouse of your consciousness.
Hmm.
So I can think of so many examples. I think we all can think of so many examples of these like uncanny things that just happen. Like, oh, I was just thinking about that. Or like I literally spent 4 hours, learning about something. And then like the very next day, like that content shows up in a whole different way. And it's, people think it's like the reticular activating system where you're like, you're more likely to notice something that you've noticed
All
recently,
right.
or like, they come up with like all these ways to kind of excuse it.
Hmm.
That's not like, I'm not saying that's not what it is, but I will tell you what it is. I mean, I think we all know we are the authors of our reality.
Right.
And we write from what we know. We write from what is in our consciousness. And this can be stuff that we're aware of feeding into our consciousness, and it can also be stuff that we're not aware of feeding into our consciousness. And this is where this idea of mental diets comes
Hmm.
into play. Because if I'm focused on, a positive, manifestation, let's say I want a healthy, meaningful, loving relationship. And then I'm watching reality TV all day,
Hmm.
which is a very overt. dramatization of unhealthy, potentially unloving relationships.
Hmm.
And I'm just like feeding that in, right? It's like those two things. It's like they can't really coexist in a way that's going to have a positive outcome. At least not from this perspective of being the author. So conversely, what we would do instead, let's keeping on this relationship theme, is we would actually immerse ourselves in stories and in ideas and in examples and even success stories from other people about what a healthy relationship looks like and feels like. And we'd watch The Notebook and we would like
Whoa.
I know that's a little too far, but you know what I mean. I had to just like throw that in there. We have like you would soak yourself in what you do want in all
Hmm.
other, and then you understand what you're doing is you're filling your library that ultimately, like, okay, library, is that the right? Let's talk about like we're cooking, right? So
Hmm.
you're filling your fridge with ingredients that are going to make this really delicious meal instead of filling your fridge with, half stuff that's rotten. You know,
Yeah.
rotten food makes a rotten meal, right?
Hmm.
But healthy, organic, non-GMO, high vibe, locally grown, whatever your value system is about food, right? You fill your fridge
Hmm.
with that, like you're going to come out, those ingredients are going to go into food and your food is going to reflect the ingredients. So in this case, the analogy, like what we feed into our consciousness becomes the ingredients. And
Yeah.
this is, it's just, yeah, it's like the imagine wisely, right? So the wise creator, the wise imaginer is going to take this seriously and feed consciousness with quality ingredients.
Totally. And like my day to day, I used to I used to have a steady supply of Adderall, like prescribed. And um it was like my dopamine levels were so low because of my environment, my relationship back then. But I didn't even know like that was like a factor. I thought it was just like I just need to work harder. So I want to work more, work harder.
Uh,
And so now like I don't take anything and it took me to tell myself like it's okay to be like bored out of my mind. Like
yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
So like I don't need to be like euphoric or ecstatic like every moment of the day.
Mhm.
And that's what eventually like led me to just like be okay with like how I just happen to be at the moment. And so like my day to day has been like this kind of like below par, like subpar freaking all the time.
Okay.
And it's gotten to the point where well I've got to the point now where it's really um like I would think about like what am I here for with Emily? Like what
Okay.
did I come here to do with Emily? And because we get to work together, we have like synergy together, we're like in the same brokerage, it's great. And
Awesome.
so like now I'm thinking like, okay, so I've received this amazing woman. We get along so like she ticks all the boxes and I tick all her boxes apparently, she tells me. And like
Awesome.
and
So
yeah.
am I.
And so, I've reached so many goals before, but I
Yeah.
noticed like I want to be, I want to be in the moment more,
Yeah.
which means in the process of reaching these goals, I want to be so appreciative and grateful in the moment and not pushing my happiness off because I think I'll be happy when I get there. And I
Yes.
realize like if I do that, then I'm actually training myself to be unhappy like every moment of my whole life.
Yes.
It's like a training.
Yes. A
So I
training.
want to, yeah, so I want to train myself to be happy now in the journey of this life, trying to
Yes.
figure out what is it that me and Emily, want to do or what are we supposed to do. I don't even know if that's even possible to figure out. But like, so I realized in the past couple of weeks that everything that I wanted, I've been receiving.
Mhm.
But I would find myself in this state of like kind of like ungrateful or like not happy. And I was like, whoa, that's not part of my values.
Aha.
So like now I'm like that's like on my mind. So
Yes.
like I'm trying to get over this hump.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I mean how like what's your experience in like this journey, like daily goals, long-term goals, this journey of life? Like how do you view it in terms of like do you are you happy now? Are you like how do you take the process in its up and downs?
Absolutely. Okay, so this is the type of discussion that people who are on the path of mastery have. This is a mastery discussion. So mastery is not a destination; it's a journey. And looking at what you want, meaning not what you want. It's who you desire to be, who you desire to give life to. That's not a destination; that's also a journey. And then the way of managing a state of being in the real time unfolding of life in a sustainable way. This all kind of ties back to this idea of time preference, but just to sum that up, this is a mastery conversation. So I love where you're at with it. I love what you're sharing about being you kind of told us a little bit of a story about your trajectory of how you attracted this partner that you have now and kind of where you are. But this idea of like checking in and being like, okay, where am I? What do I want out of this? Like, who do I want to be? And also, who do I want to be in this relationship with this woman,
Mhm.
with this partner? And yeah, so you're asking like where I'm at with that. So I'm resonating a lot with what you're saying about this idea of um, understanding, we're the author, understanding that the contents of our consciousness are put on display in the circumstances and situations of our lives. And then really this idea of gratitude and appreciation. So I was having a bit of I had like 2 days last week that was like rough for me. I was like really going through what felt like some struggle and it's just like I think every once in a while most of us go through, I call it like a thunderstorm, right? It's like, okay, most of the time I'm blue skies and sunshine, but every once in a while I get this nice thunderstorm that rolls through. And so for me, this was an
Mhm.
experience of a thunderstorm that rolled through. And so, blue skies, sunshine, that's not really anybody can be a master when the skies are blue and the
Right.
sun shines out, right? It's when the thunderstorm comes through that's really tests our mettle in terms of like, are we serious about being masters, being on this path of mastery? That's when we really get to prove the tools and prove our resilience, right? So I was very aware that I was in a storm, emotionally, psychologically. It's just like in this storm. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So in meditation, because that's really how I decided to deal with it. In meditation, I went and I really took a look and I was like, okay, what am I feeling? Like, what am I really present to? And just to like make it really, really simple without going into too many details,
Mhm.
I was feeling kind of a sense of dissatisfaction
Mhm.
with like what is in a certain house of my life. Like there's something that I've been, doing and like investing a lot of time and effort into, and I was just like kind of dissatisfied with like where things are. And so, it's like, okay, once I was able to put my finger on this is really what I'm feeling, uh, I really realized that feeling dissatisfied with the way something is uh, a failure to acknowledge the magic that has already happened.
Mhm.
So my dissatisfaction, like, oh, this particular thing should be so much further than it is, right? Completely disregards how far it's come even to get
Mhm.
where it is now,
Mhm.
right? So it's like this is where I come back to this idea of time preference. So this is really what I was able to drill down to, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to in this moment with this thunderstorm, anyways, I'm experiencing an extreme time preference, meaning that I want things to be the way that I want them to be, and I want them to be
Mm.
that way now.
Right now.
right now. And what I realized was that that was very disrespectful of everything that has happened so far, even to get it where it is on the
Mm-hmm.
path to getting to where I envision it being. But it's like, okay, so I'm just to use an analogy, you got this beautiful garden and you know, it's like April 1st. So you go out and you plant your seed. And then a week later you come out and you're like, why don't I see rosebuds? This isn't fair. What is
Yeah.
wrong here? Right. And
Mm.
it's like, dude, give it some time, like, and acknowledge. And you see the little sprout, like, oh, look, it's a sprout. It's
Mm-hmm.
magical. Where's my roses? Right. So it's this
Mm-hmm.
whole this whole time preference of like, oh, I need it to be this way right now, which disrespects the process
Mm-hmm.
and also disregards the perfection of the present moment. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I found myself. I was like, I, in this particular area, had become disconnected from the perfection of the present moment. And in that state of disconnection, I was not acknowledging or seeing or being present to how far I had come in this area in my life,
Mm-hmm.
which is just kind of like not acknowledging the journey. I had, you know, popped into this place of extreme time preference, or I didn't, you know, want it to gestate and go through the normal natural processes. I just wanted it to be here now, exactly the way I want it. So time preference. And then perhaps the most direct way to look at this whole thing is I had become disconnected from gratitude and appreciation, which
Mm-hmm.
are two two values that I build my life on. But this particular part of the house of my life, right? If life is a mansion, you know, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and you're building these different wings of your life, this particular one, I had not, at least in the time of this storm moving through, I had not built it on a solid foundation of gratitude and appreciation. I had built it on this extreme time preference foundation, and I didn't even really realize that that's what I had done until I really came to this moment of really feeling profoundly dissatisfied. And I was like, wait a second, what have I built here? What am I doing? And then, you know, taking that cold, hard look at the man in the mirror, I was like, oh, everything I said, right? Time preference, you know, I expect things to be the way they are. And most of all, I've lost my connection to gratitude and appreciation. And so out of that, I was like, you know, I had to have that conversation with myself, like take myself aside, you know, for coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even like addressing the younger part of me that has been maybe a little bit impatient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you would maybe a small child, you know, who's angry because like the toy needs to be here right now, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
like waiting for it to come in the mail. You know, it's like, dude,
Yeah.
it's coming, like just relax, right? So I had to like tone it down, relax, do some self-care, right? Like do the meditation, you know, sip a delicious, you know, tonic. And I sat on my porch, you know, and just enjoyed nature and watched the birds for a while and like just let myself just like really relax until I was able to really feel myself back in to this profound sense of appreciation for the perfection of the present moment. Whereas like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know, it's there's nothing actually wrong. Like everything actually is exactly the way that it is, and it's fine, and it's more than fine. It's actually beautiful. There's a set of eyes that we can install where we can actually see that exactly what we have right now is beautiful. And then
Mm-hmm.
from being able to reconnect to that, I was able to find a sense of gratitude and appreciation again. And, you know, by the next morning, after like 2 days of this thunderstorm, I was feeling much better, much more rooted in my presence and my power, much more grateful, much more appreciative, and much happier. I felt lighter and more
Nice. Wow.
joyful. Yeah.
Mm. That's awesome. You know, I am so used to this feeling of being like this subpar, almost like just this not this discontent, just like all the time, pretty much like my whole life. So I kind of got used to it. That's what I was talking about. Like I need to be okay with this. Like just I need to just be okay with this. And because I had already proven to myself that the meditations and getting into that state and imagining it for real, like in my meditations, I already proved myself that I don't need to be this happy person for it to come true.
Yeah.
And so only in the meditations I would bring about that happiness and appreciation and gratefulness. And then
Right.
as soon as the meditation's done, I'm back to my daily whatever I want to do, a subpar like feeling. And now I feel like, you know, that's what I want to focus on now for the sake of it. Like I want to have that. I want to be above board, to be above board, not so that I can, get something else. It's like I always wanted to be super authentic and true to myself. And I don't need to worry. Like I already know I don't need to worry about being happy so that I can manifest something. I just want to be like, I want to have that gratefulness like in my reality, not just in my 10-minute, 20-minute meditation. So like that's really great that you were able to like pinpoint what was going on inside and like deal with it in those deeper states of consciousness to really get to the root of it.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, just to go a little bit philosophical for a moment here. It occurred to me in this process of like seeing it in myself. It occurred to me that um, a lot of the machinations and churning that we witness in society comes from this place of dissatisfaction with what is. And I'm not judging it as right or wrong. It's an observation. But what I really became aware of after seeing it in myself first, so it's not a look at the mirrors and judge the mirrors. It's like, oh, I see this in myself, and I see it also how it shows up in civilization, in society. It's like I can see that relationship. But I noticed it, and I saw it myself, and I noticed it, and then I was able to look back over my life and see how it had kind of been in the driver's seat for many years of my life, like you were saying, like this kind of dissatisfaction or like constant, churning or like grinding, trying to get something, trying to go somewhere we're not now, trying to be something we feel like we're not now, and trying to have something we feel like we don't have, and like this whole type of thing. And like and on one level, that's how uh, consciousness and the universe and our awareness and everything expands, like desire,
hmm
right? Desire is the beginning,
Desire is
right?
from the
So the
Father.
desire gave birth to the universe, right? The
Hmm
multiverse, so it's like on one hand, like that's it. But there's like this other way of looking at it where it's like, okay, like we can respect and honor desire, but like also there's this mastery way of doing that, which is this balance where we're able to be uh profoundly grounded in the present and aware of the perfection that already is. And then we're just upgrading certain things, right? It's
hmm
not that something's broken and we need to
hmm
fix it. It's okay, I see what is, and I'd like to upgrade this. And it's like writing these little revisions,
hmm
you know, which is exactly what Neville said was the most important thing that he ever taught was this idea of revising, So it's like there's power to these ideas when we really understand, and it's another level. There's some people, that just it's like this idea of being on the hamster wheel, like you're just kind of chasing endlessly, and then your life is this particular life in this form is over.
Right.
Right? So it's like, okay, but it occurred to me this week that maybe, just maybe, the whole point of this life, like a single lifetime, like this incarnation, and this may be true for me, and this may be true for you, and maybe true for people that are watching or listening right now. Maybe the whole purpose of this particular incarnation was to learn how to do this.
hmm
And maybe everything else is just trappings of that, like like props on a theater play, right? But like the whole theme of the play is just mystery school. We're just learning how to manifest. We're learning how to, hold a state of being. We're learning how to balance, desire and surrender. Like we're learning to be, the author. We're learning to revise. Maybe that's the whole point of this life. Maybe that's literally the whole reason why we're here having this incarnation. Like that's what this life is intended to be invested in, right? So like that kind of just for me anyways, I felt like that kind of recast like kind of my perspective on what life is or can be.
Yeah, it's definitely so helpful to have that perspective of the end in mind
Yeah.
because there is going to be an end. And
Yes.
like and then I'm now empowered to choose how I want to, take this life. How do I want to live this life? And yeah, so that's where I'm at. It sounds like Helena is
Yeah,
finding
let's
this
take a look
helpful.
at the chat. Yeah. Elena, more content like this, please. I love the realness of it. Thank you, my friend.
Mm,
I'm just glad you're here for it because we do get pretty real in here, and I'm glad you're here for it. That means you're pretty real also. Very cool. Super helpful to hearing about others in the moment, pivoting and acceptance practices when the state of wish fulfilled isn't easily accessible in the moment. Yes. Question: Are you genuinely grateful for your life and where it's going? You want to take that one, Frank? Start?
sure. Yes, I'm absolutely grateful. And I was doing my meditation right here on the floor because I found putting the Shakti mat on the hard floor
Yeah.
is easier. It's
Yes.
for me. And I looked up at the ceiling and I was in the same, everything's in the same position that I was doing my meditations in 2021 when I was in the complete opposite type of environment and relationship. So I looked up and I'm like, oh my gosh, like everything is kind of the same but upgraded. Like literally, it's insane. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I mentioned at the beginning is
Yeah.
like I looked up and I was like, oh, I'm right on the right side of the bed. The computers are like right here. There's a window, there's the ceiling fan up above, but like everything is different.
Mm.
It's like I just it's like I jumped into this parallel like a different world.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, yes, I'm genuinely grateful and where it's going. Thanks, Orlana.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, so the my relationship with the idea of having a life and being grateful for it and where it's going and all that um, has been evolving. Um, yeah, evolving particularly this year as I've started to do some deeper meditations, getting into some of these, deeper explorations of consciousness and of awareness. And I feel like it's deepened and widened and expanded the depth and breadth of my understanding of what a human life is. And just really the magic of being. Um, and so like I think for me it's almost a little bit counterintuitive because I think some people, I can't say for sure, this is conjecture, right? But it feels like some people like they're just like they're so in their body and they're just so here and now and like doing whatever they're doing, that maybe they don't feel that connected to the spiritual side of themselves. And I feel like and that like that's cool. And maybe like if that's like type A, right? So then type B is like feeling really connected to the spiritual side of self. And then like, you know, trying to relate to being human. So like I feel like I'm more in type B, where I feel like very connected to the spiritual side of things, and then am just like marveling at the magic of being the spiritual being, having a human experience. And just like um I was seeing it actually in one of the deeper meditations that I did this week. I was really connected to this idea of like what a biological human being is for consciousness, like what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then understanding that like I'm experiencing that right now, and
Yeah.
just I could talk for a while about that. I don't want to go too far to a rabbit hole, but I was astonished at the engineering, like the divine intelligence that has created the human being as a platform for individuation of consciousness.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so when I have experiences like that, it does help me connect more deeply to a sense of gratitude and appreciation for my life. I also feel like, every once in a while I get, on my phone, it's like memories or whatever, and it'll show me like pictures of my life like years
Oh,
ago.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is always such a trip because I feel like I'm such a different person than who I was even a year ago or who I was even two
Yeah.
years ago. And once I think it was earlier this week, it showed me something from 12 years ago, and I was like, I don't even know that dude. Like, I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, it's so foreign to me. That's like
Right.
the dead man, right?
Right. I
Yeah.
was
So
having that experience like yesterday. I was like,
yeah,
oh my God, people say it was a different lifetime ago,
yeah.
but like I really, like I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, like I actually feel like that. It's insane. And so like that's such a good reminder about I was thinking about the Schrodinger cat experiment.
Oh yeah.
So like this universe or this reality apparently like some people say that only parts of it are like rendered like a video game. And so like
Okay.
only if something is being observed, it becomes like in the 3D. But if this particular like space is not being observed by anyone or anything, then like it's supposed to be like up in the air. Like
It's a
so
wave,
like
not a particle,
it's like
because
a wave,
observation
right?
collapses it into a particle. Yes.
Right. So like when if I remember correctly, the Schrodinger cat experiment is like they close the box. So now is the cat alive or is the cat dead? Like is the cat there or is it not there? So like I was thinking, well, what if that's not really the question? What if the state of the cat is already like set, but the information of what state that's in is just saved elsewhere, like in a computer, like how we have computers.
In
And
memory.
so
Yeah.
like when we open the box of the cat, then the information comes back and it becomes like rendered.
Yes.
And I was thinking, huh, it must be some amazing. So like then that must mean that there are like limitations
Yeah.
to this machine. Like if it is like this machine. So
Yeah.
like so are it's just really interesting for me to think about is like then what are really the limitations? Because if this machine needs to like save CPU power for example, because like if nothing's being observed, it needs to save that power and then only render it when it needs to, then like what is this? Do you ever like do you ever like entertain these theories?
Yeah. Yeah. From time to time. Frank, I'm gonna have you take over for just a second. There's
Sure.
something I need to do.
Sure. All right.
I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. So then, Orlana, I see your latest chat here. So then, if you're grateful for your life and where it's going, doesn't a natural happiness come with that because of your content? Yeah, right. That's supposed to, right? That's what I think. That's what kind of woke me up. And I was thinking, why do I feel unhappy and dissatisfied? And I think it's because I trained myself for my whole life. My whole life, I had been training myself to be like so unhappy. And it became like a defense mechanism early in my childhood, like my teenage years, where I would kind of configure my mind to be already unhappy so that I would never be disappointed. And so, like, throughout my life, that kind of became like the norm for me. And so now I'm finally ready to let go of that. It served me for a little bit. Now it no longer serves me. So I want to change that. So yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. So yeah, so I want to I want to refer back to your what you were just talking about for a second, and then get a little bit more into the chat because I see we've got some great comments coming in. Okay, so um, this idea of the universe rendering on demand when consciousness observes something. So yeah, so in fact, I see we have Shweta in the chat. Hello, Shweta.
Hey, Shweta.
Yeah. So Shweta did a series talking about science and Neville. So basically,
Oh
it's
yeah.
scientific theories that are now a way of relating scientifically to the mystic truths that Neville was illuminating through his work. And so I think Shweta would agree with me. This idea of being the observer and everything is infinite possibilities, and then you observe something and it's changing from a field of limited possibilities to something that can be observed. So it's
Mhm.
collapsing from the wave to the particle. And so we combine that with this idea. I don't have a way to like prove this, but I've heard it floated, maybe even as a theory, that the universe has a refresh rate, and it's
Mm.
like 23 trillion times a second is what I've heard.
Ooh,
I've heard floated. So it's
interesting.
like the universe. So this is the way I conceptualize it. The universe is measuring itself of like where it is, and then disappearing from existence, and then reappearing again, and it's doing that at this refresh rate of 23 trillion times per second, and then measures itself again, then disappears, and then re-renders, right? So it's like we change the universe, like when we make, even if our state of being changes, like our emotional state changes, or we make a new decision, or we move into a new state, we have now been measured by the universe in that next 23 trillionth of a
Whoa.
second.
Wow.
Okay, so this is why manifestation is truly instant. And a lot of people are like, why do I have to wait so long? Well, it's you got to understand how the universe works, right? So it's like literally it's 1/23 trillionth of a second. If you change from I'm just going to call it trillionth, okay? One
Uh-huh.
trillionth of a second to the next, in the middle of that refresh time, the next time the universe measures you, you have now been observed in that state, which is an instant manifestation. Now the universe sees you where you now are. Okay. So the question is if you remain faithful to it or not, because if you remain faithful to it and the universe continues to measure you in that way, the universe is going to reorder itself over the next many, many refreshes
Mm.
until now everything is conforming to the way that you are now showing up. If you don't
Whoa.
remain faithful to that, right, and then you switch back a trillionth of a second later,
Yeah.
then the universe didn't even have time to rearrange,
Yeah.
right? So this connects into this idea of being the center of the universe. I'm just going to call it universe. I think there's actually an omniverse or polyverse, but we're just going to leave it simple for tonight. Being
Hmm.
each one of us is literally the center of the universe because we're a point of awareness. So the
Right.
universe is literally a sphere around us 360 degrees around our point of awareness. And every time we move, we can never leave the center of the universe. We're always in the center because the center's around each consciousness unit, right?
Hmm.
And so this is why Neville, in some of his more obscure teachings that align with scientific principles of quantum physics and this idea of being the center of the universe as consciousness, Neville says, you think that you move places. Like you think that you get in a car and you drive somewhere. You think that you get on a plane and you fly. You think that you take a boat to Barbados. But he says no movement is ever actually occurring. The universe
Hmm.
is actually moving around you.
Hmm.
I only really heard him say that once, and like I said, it's kind of an obscure thing. But that's not him just crazy talk. That's actually this principle of
Interesting.
of consciousness itself, quantum physics, right? Which he didn't train in, he observed. He was first person gathering evidence through his meditations and everything else.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
That's
fascinating.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Now, Frank, how do we make that pragmatic?
Uh,
Because our minds get blown, and then we have some serotonin or dopamine or whatever the
uh-huh.
neurotransmitters are that, oh, epiphany. But like, how do
Yeah.
we make that practical?
For me, the fact that if that's true, then it just makes it so much cooler to be doing my meditations to manifest something. It just makes it cooler,
But
right?
yeah, it makes it cooler. You feel you feel more cutting edge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay, I can get down with that. Feels a
Hmm.
little cooler, a little more motivation
Yeah,
to
exactly.
do it because we can understand. Um, so there's this one other way of relating to this
Hmm.
idea. I shared this in one of my School of Imagination courses. I was using this as like a metaphor that we explored in depth. I'll just like share it. So the when you're when you go to like a national forest or something where there's all these different hiking trails, right? You're standing on like one part of the trail. Let's say it's the beginning of the trailhead, right? And like, maybe down the trailhead, there's the stream, okay? And you don't see the stream right now. You don't even hear the stream right now. And you may not even know that the stream is there. But
Hmm.
as soon as you start to walk down that path, like, or not that as soon as you start to walk down that path, that stream is now on your timeline, as long as you continue to walk down that path.
Hmm.
Okay. As soon as you're like, oh, wait, I'm changing my mind. I actually want to walk down this path over here. Right now, there's a giant boulder,
Hmm.
that's down that path, and you don't see it. You're not aware that it's there. But if you continue to walk down that path, that giant boulder is there, and it's now going to be on your timeline. Right.
Hmm.
So I use this as an analogy that when you do your meditation and you make a change of state, you are choosing the path that you're now going to walk down. And as long as you remain faithful on that path, that scene that you planted in your imagination, that is the scene that you wrote, that you went into the portal state and you experienced it, right? And that's like the one that implies the fulfillment of your desire. That scene is now that stream or that boulder on your path, right? It's now included in
Hmm.
the timeline. You may
Hmm.
not see it right now. I mean, you do, in this case, you do know it's there because you went in and you created it, or connected to it, right? And you traveled
Yeah.
your way there, but it's now on that timeline. So as long as you remain faithful to that path and you continue to walk it, you're going to come to that stream. You're going to come to that boulder. You're going to come to that experience as long
Hmm.
as you're remaining faithful to it, right? Even if you can't
Yeah.
see it right now, it's included on the path. So now you can change paths every 1/23rd, 1/23 trillionth of a second.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important to remain faithful.
Mm. Wow. That's amazing. So I could totally relate to the whole refresh rate because as a gamer,
As a gamer, right? Right. Yep.
you want to get that high refresh rate so, you
Yeah.
can get that reflex going. So that's very interesting to me.
So making it practical, I think it's exactly what we're talking about. I think it's okay. It really emphasizes the importance of remaining faithful. You start down the path in the national forest, and somebody advertised to you that there was a waterfall on this path, and you walk 10 feet and you don't see the waterfall. You don't say, where is it? Someone lied.
Hmm.
This doesn't work.
Hmm.
Like, Ben, I'm on the wrong path. I'm misled, right? No, you're like,
Hmm.
okay, I got to walk down this path to find the waterfall, right? Like, it's
Hmm.
on the path. So as long as I continue on the path, I will find the waterfall. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, it really emphasizes the importance of remaining faithful. Even if you can't see it yet, it's
Hmm.
included on the path. Right. So I
Yeah.
think that's one way to make it pragmatic. And I think that it can add a motivation to remain faithful. And then I think it also this idea kind of reminds us of our power, like exactly how powerful we are as the observers.
Mhm. Right. Now, when I see a bunch of people and I go out and see a bunch of people, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
see them with like bubble wrap around or whatever.
Yeah.
Like people like the bubble boy.
Quantum bubbles. Yeah.
Everyone's the bubble boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So people actually carry information in their bubble. And
Hmm.
when you become clairvoyant to a certain, you adopt this certain perspective of awareness. So it's like we have built into our energetic systems additional senses. Like I call them the multidimensional sensory organs of perception. So we have antenna that can read other people's minds and
Mm.
emotions, and like higher dimensional information about other people or about situations, circumstances, things. We have antenna like that. A lot of us haven't necessarily installed the drivers for those antenna yet, but every human's
Hmm.
born with them, right?
Hmm.
Using computer analogy, you have to download the drivers and to unlock that capability, right? But people do walk around and they carry information, and this is why I think I shared a while ago. I had a psychic clairvoyance teacher and coach that I took a course with, and I was in a session with her, and she was having me create an imaginal picture in my mind, and I wasn't saying anything. I was just creating the imaginal picture,
Mm-hmm.
and she was able to describe to me.
No way.
Yes, and specifically, like
Whoa.
no, there was no, oh, is it like, there was no vagueness, Frank. I felt
Wow.
it was borderline, particularly because it was a couple years ago. It was like, oh, I felt a little bit exposed because
Whoa.
oh my God, my imagination is not private. Like that's what it
Huh.
felt like. I was like, this woman
Wow.
can see what I'm seeing in my imagination, which I thought previously was private, right? It's like
Wow.
only you and God can see it, right? But like not someone who has these antennas, they can see it, right? So it's
Whoa.
like this whole other level. And she was very, very precise and was describing exactly what I was seeing. And it was not a
Oh
normal
my
thing. So I was
goodness.
like, whoa, um, pretty intense. But yeah, so people like imagining quantum bubbles, yes. Um, my yoga teacher actually, I don't think she's aware that she has the antennas. I think it's just something that she just does.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she thinks it's just because she's so experienced. But I see her do it. She can pick up on things that are in people's fields without them saying anything.
Wow.
Hmm.
For me, I can kind of relate to that as like this emotional intelligence, like this EQ quotient.
Ah, okay.
I
Yep.
find
EQ.
myself getting better at that and I can't explain it. So like yeah, it's like weird. It's like this like extra sensory thing.
And when you embrace it, I think it can, um, like when you accept it and you embrace it, then I think it becomes like welcome in your reality. It's just a phenomenon of awareness, right? So it's like if you accept it and embrace it, um, it becomes welcome in your reality, so you can actually experience it more often.
Yeah, and I'm talking like emotions of other people around me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I mean. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Awesome. Um, got a super message from Moon Bunny. Hi, Moon Bunny. You have a talent for pragmatism, Josiah. Well, thank you, Moon Bunny. Um, yeah, I believe the utility of any spiritual practice is found in how it meaningfully upgrades our quality of lives. And so I have sought in my work to build that connection, that so that we do understand the ways in which it's practical, as best we can, because like we want to live, what is the Bible quote? More abundant life, right? What does he say? Live life and more. You were a Bible student. You went to seminary.
I
What's that
know.
quote? Jesus, life and more abundant life or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, live, laugh, love. No, that's not it.
Eat, pray, love. What? Yeah.
I
You mean
forgot.
like
But
somebody in the life and no abundant. Yeah, more abundant life. Yeah, and that's the practicality.
something like that. I think the
Awesome.
cat. What did the chat say?
Yeah, the chat has been going here. I kind of missed it. Okay, so I did see an interesting question here from Travel Food. So Travel Food says, someone kindly answer, do you people drink alcohol while manifesting?
What do you mean while manifesting?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna guess that the question is, uh, do you use alcohol as a manifestation or perhaps meditation aid? Uh, so I'll just say for me, I do not. I do not use alcohol for that purpose. Neville used it for that purpose. Um, Frank and I have a mutual friend who practiced state akin to sleep using wine as a meditation relaxation aid,
Nice.
and had like an amazing astral projection experience out of that. So yeah, so I see Orlana kind of answered that too. So yes, it does. It can relax you. It can help you, particularly wine. I don't know that I would try other spirits, but they call it spirits for a reason, right? But like wine, I think in particular could be useful. Neville enjoyed martinis, so I guess that is other spirits. But yeah, so I would say you said, do you people? I don't know about other people. I don't. Frank, do you?
No, you know what? When I first started,
Yeah.
I would use my prescription to help me focus, which
Right.
is It's funny because like it's a stimulant,
Yes.
but
You meditate
like
on a stimulant?
yeah, but the thing is because it was prescribed to me and like I don't know, like for me, yeah, it was an upper.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why, I had to get off it because like it was getting too much.
Yeah.
So I just found it funny that it would help me focus and
Hmm.
do the meditation.
Hmm.
It would help me focus on my breathing, just
Okay,
like
yeah.
breathe, get that HBC going, and
Yeah.
then it would help me focus to the next stage
Yeah.
and like get my visualization going. And then, so yeah, but now, um, I don't really use anything.
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
try to eat. I just try to eat healthy.
Yeah.
I don't drink soda. Not that I
Just
uh
sugary
not that I
chrysanthemum.
attribute that, but I'm trying my best because I used to go to the gym like as so religiously.
Yeah.
It was insane. So yeah, I don't do anything special.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like my Shakti mats. I think that that's like a kind of a biohack for meditation. Similar thing. It can relax. Yes. Um, do you have to be relaxed to manifest? No, I mean, not really, I guess. It makes it easier, I think, to get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Some people feel great when they drink a little bit of wine, helps them relax, get into the state. So certainly not necessary, but can it be used for that? Yeah, can. Um, Ram on says, I don't drink either, but I would think that alcohol would sort of dull or mask a deep experience. It's possible. Maybe I feel like alcohol, I feel like each person has a different relationship and experience with the spirit that is alcohol. So this is probably a very unique thing. Crystal Clear says drinking or not drinking doesn't matter unless you believe it matters. Yeah, if it works for you, great. Um, thanks. I feel like drinking throws my emotions off. That's why I asked. But Neville comfortably enjoyed his drinks. He did. He definitely did. Yes. So this brings up an interesting point. And Frank, I don't know if you've heard things like this. So
Hmm.
I've heard it said that avatar beings, as Neville clearly was, and I hope everybody understands what I mean when I say that. It's like a very, very clear embodiment of source. Like it's very, very God in a human. Avatar beings like Neville, because they vibe so high, just by like their normal state is like so high. They'd like basically vibrate off the earth plane unless they have some way of like grounding themselves.
Mm.
And so for some people, for some avatar beings, it would be something like alcohol. It's like, if for him it was like just lowering his vibe maybe just enough so he could stay in a human body and have these
Whoa.
experiences. Or for other people, like they'll have some sort of physical affliction, and it's like, oh, but you're like this God being. Why would you have a physical affliction? It's like, well, the physical affliction like is part of how they stay on planet
Mm.
on planet Earth. I don't know. It kind of sounds like just a story, and it's
It
possible that
sounds,
it is.
it reminds me of that Bible story.
Tell
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I remember something. It was when Paul he became Paul. He used to be Saul and he used to persecute the Jews. And then
Right.
he saw the light and he became Paul. And
Yes.
then he would, he expanded his awareness and but he was left with this like thorn, no, not a thorn, but he was left with something in his side. I thought it
Okay.
was a thorn in his side or something. Like this physical ailment.
Physical ailment. Yeah.
And it's like why? Like
Right. Can't you just manifest that away?
yeah,
Yeah.
like what now that you've seen Jesus, you're blown off the camel or whatever you're riding, and like now you're blinded by the light for
Yes.
like 3 days or whatever, but like still you have this physical ailment. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting to know. It's just this is what I'll say about Neville and alcohol. I actually kind of love that Neville enjoyed alcohol. And the reason that sounds weird to say maybe, the reason I love it is because it humanizes this man that was so
Yeah,
godly, right?
yeah.
It's like, you know, it makes him relatable. Like, he was never this high and holier than thou, high and
Mhm.
mighty. Never. He was
Mhm.
super chill, so down to earth, and he loved his martinis and his wine. Like how that's like to me, and he's like, um, if you don't want to eat meat, don't eat meat. Just don't
Right.
think that that makes you holy, right? If
Right.
you want to eat meat, then eat meat. Just don't think that that somehow makes you holy, right? And he
Mhm.
goes about the whole, all down all the list of vices. If you want to sleep with people, but like don't think it makes you holy. Or if you want to
Right.
abstain, abstain, but don't think that makes you holy, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, be like, just own your life, like own
Mhm.
that you are the author. And I just love that about him. There's no dogma. There's no like, oh, you need to do this to like raise your energy and like be this certain type of way. And he calls those people out too. He's like, this
That's
is,
awesome.
so I just love that about him. I think that that is what another thing that just makes him such a standout character among mystics. The fact that he was just that way. He was like, no, like enjoy your life. You are God already. Like regardless of any of your diets are just going to be like, fun, hopefully fun things that you're doing, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it
yeah.
reminds me of Osho. I think
Oh,
that's
tell
how
me
you
about
say it.
Osho. Yeah.
Osho, he's the guy on YouTube, and he does his like seminars or talks, his live talks with like these elaborate sunglasses. And he's like he's super real. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I
Awesome.
remember the last thing that I saw was like he said he does not worship poverty. And being a YouTube guy with like all these followers, of course he's gonna get a lot of people saying, "Oh, how can you like wear such fancy sunglasses and stuff?
Hmm.
That must cost like
Hmm.
$1,000 or something." But it's like, what? Like, why not?
Yeah, this idea of like, oh, like I love that you said that, worshiping poverty. Wow, what a
Yeah,
statement.
he's good.
I've seen people say things like, oh, spiritual teachers should not have money, or like, it's ridiculous that like, so and so who's like doing God's work, like, why does he have a nice house? He should be living, in a shack, right? And it's
Yeah,
like,
what?
if that's
Why?
what you think, you completely missed the point. Like this
Hmm.
again, to live life fully and abundantly. That is the promise, right? So, yeah. Okay, so that's like the one side, and the other side is like the prosperity gospel preachers, right? The mega churches,
Yeah, yeah,
who,
yeah,
like really go into the thing, like the world of Caesar stuff. So it's like there's the polarity there. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Like live the life you want to live, like
right.
don't. So what I mean by that is like don't think that you need to like that you should want something because other people want it, right?
Yeah.
So like, having a lot of money, that's a very popular in vogue thing for society right now. People want to have a lot of money,
Hmm.
right? But like just because that's a popular in vogue thing doesn't mean that that should be what you automatically want. If you do, great, go
Uh,
get it, right? Or
yeah,
go
just do it
manifest it, right? But like I'm
or
just saying
don't.
don't
Who
want something
cares?
just because other people, like be original,
Yeah.
And I kind of laugh about the money thing too, because we're headed towards a reality where money isn't really a thing in the way that it is right now. So it's like,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, so there's that too. It's like, is that also extreme time? I mean, live your abundant life for sure. Be wealthy, be prosperous, but also
Hmm.
like keep it all in perspective, like money is not God, you are God, right? So
Hmm.
it's like keep
Yeah.
first things first, first principles.
Yeah, and that is what I was meditating on today, this afternoon,
Hmm.
where I'm taking a look at my current life, right?
Yeah.
Everything is just the complete opposite than a couple of years ago, maybe four
Yeah.
or 5 years ago. And my meditation was to be aware of the power that brought me here. So
Hmm.
like even though like one of the other manifestations that is so great to see is like last year I would look at my realtor portal and there was no listings. There was like zero listings. It was like empty.
Yeah.
But you have all the headers there. It's like address, zip code, whatever. But there's nothing there. And I would imagine just off the cuff, like kind of daydreaming and then just forgetting about it, that what it would be like to see this thing full.
Yes.
It's just full. And now it's full.
Yeah.
And now like it's insane. So, instead of so I want to be wise with my awareness because before when I manifested insane stuff, like I gave my power to that system and then I thought it would just go on forever. And then it just disappeared. As quickly as it came, it disappeared. And now it's like, wow, this is like even awesome. It's like more awesomer. And so I want to ground myself in the awareness that is the power, the actual power that's brought me here.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. That's great. Yeah.
I
Oh,
forgot why I was talking about that, but
no,
yeah.
I mean, you nailed it right there. Yeah, exactly. Like, um, rooting into the power that creates the thing rather than giving your power to the thing. I think Neville says something about like, take my house, take my cars, take my money, right? But you can't take away the power that created all those things, right? So like I know that I'll just get it all back, right? Because I
Hmm.
know that I am the power. So yeah, that's the recipe.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Beautiful. I'm gonna take a look at the chat here.
Oh, there
Very
it is. The quote from Michelle.
Did we get it? Okay, hold on. I'm getting there. Hi, Stacy. Um, Shwetha, Elena, Carrie. The cat in the box itself doesn't have limitations, but only the limitations based on the state you are in. So when you observe it, only the possibilities of your state are available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's like the universe, right? So that's like the contents of your own consciousness are the ingredients in the fridge. You're only going to make a meal that came from the ingredients that you have in the house.
Hmm.
Right? So it's like
Right.
what's going to be in the box is going to be found based on the contents of your consciousness. Melding a couple analogies together there.
Hmm.
Whoa. Um, universe. And you're like, no, you.
No, you. No, universe.
Life more abundantly. Are you Josiah's other half? Yes. Carrie is my lover and my other half. And someday she will be on a Neville and Chill with us.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Exactly. And who is coming, right? Frank, who is Jesus Christ? Who is Jesus Christ?
That is our awareness when it's like at that level,
Yes,
that final level.
the awareness of being the author.
It's like so many things. It's like the power,
Yep.
it's the all-consuming power. It's also that consciousness level where like you're just so advanced, you're so like connected.
The Bible says that Jesus Christ is the wisdom
And the
of God
power,
and the
the
power of,
wisdom and the power. Yeah.
yeah,
That all-consuming fire.
the all-consuming fire. So um, I have come. So Jesus, the wisdom and the power of God, which is a state of awareness. So that state of awareness has come that we may have life and have it more abundantly. So that's
So we burn
Christ.
down. Yeah. Sorry, say that again.
No, I was going to say that's. Go ahead. Yeah, that's what I had to say.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, we burn down the current situation
Yep.
and then in that all-consuming fire,
The
then like
tooth, shin,
yeah.
yod hey vow shin ayin. The shin, the tooth, the consuming
Hmm.
fire tears down or consumes,
Hmm.
and then
And then
ayin.
out from the ashes,
Mhm.
uh, something new is manifested.
Yes, the more abundant life.
Hmm.
Beautiful. ADD here. Adderall made me so drowsy and I couldn't function. I just drink coffee to relax and calm my mind.
Mm.
So crystal clear. So that's like, so Adderall is an upper for a lot of people, but for other people, it can have a downer effect. It's funny that you drink coffee to relax and calm your mind, whereas other
Hmm.
people drink coffee to get into that beta brain and go get stuff done.
Hmm.
Anna says Neville never knew that alcohol is a carcinogen like tobacco. In 1988, IARC, the International Agency for Research in Cancer, put alcohol in the type 1 carcinogen group. Interesting. Moon Bunny says my body rejects alcohol. Yeah, I'm in a similar situation. Depends on the alcohol, but it's not my favorite thing. So it's not a moral thing. I don't have a problem with alcohol. It's just my body just isn't really built for it.
Hey, I'm gonna take a bathroom break real quick.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be
I'm
right
just going to
back.
talk to the chat.
Cool.
Um, V says, greetings from India. How to hold a frequency when there is a big gap between the present circumstance and the one we are aspiring to? That's a fantastic question, V. So, how to hold the frequency. So, this is a skill of resilience. Okay. So, holding a frequency when there's a big gap, when there's a lot of change between the state that you're in and the state that you are moving, or the state, let me say this correctly. So, the state that is currently outpictured in the world and the state of being that you now assume, when there's a big gap to where a lot of change will take place, the key is being in a state of resilience so that you can rather gracefully remain connected to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And the most effective tool that I'm aware of for doing that is the heart coherence meditation that Frank and I have been speaking about on this live stream. The heart coherence meditation enables your resilience factors in your biology to become activated. It's a way of calming down reactivity, so that you're less reactive to the external world. It's a way of navigating change, gracefully with ease, where it doesn't feel so hard on your mind and your body when things very aggressively and dramatically change. Resilience is a skill for navigating. So if you think, just to talk a little bit more about this, so if you think about being the author of your life, you're literally like, there's an element of you that's like, or an aspect of you that's literally sitting at a desk and writing the story of V, right? And you've got the scenes and everything. And then, the author writes that V goes into the silence and changes their state of being. Okay. Then what comes next is the bridge of incidents. Okay. So now you as being in the form of being human, you don't have to write the bridge of incidents. You just have to write the scene, as I'm sure you know, because you're talking about it, right? So you just write the end scene. Okay. But if you think about that part that is going to be filled in between where you are now and the end scene, you can, like, as the author, you would allude to how V as the character is like surfing the waves of change, right? So chances are that either V has a practice that activates resilience, or V is going to get beat up, by the waves of change. She's going to get kind of tossed and rolled, when things are changing aggressively. So as the author, it would be wise to write in some sort of superpower that V has to be able to navigate these tremendous changes. And that superpower that I've found that works the best that I can say is heart coherence. So the question is, are you aware of heart coherence? Do you know what it is or how to do it? So that's just something you can look up on YouTube. I will point you to the Heart Coherence Collaborative, which is run by Kyle and Leah. Frank, I think you know Kyle and Leah, don't you?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought you had maybe met them sometime. But anyways, they're a couple. They live not far from me. They
Hmm.
teach heart coherence professionally. They do challenges. They do like a 30-day heart coherence challenge where like every single day they're giving you a meditation. Because it's a skill, right? It's
It
it's literally
is.
something to master, right?
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to get involved in stuff like that and know that it's a life skill that you're adopting to help you adapt gracefully to changes. So that you're enjoying the journey as opposed to getting tossed and rolled by the journey, right? So that's what I would suggest, and that's, yeah, blown off the camel. Yeah, that made me laugh too.
It's in
Yes,
there.
he was.
That's what it
It's
says.
in there. He says,
Somewhere in there.
blown off the candle. Have you ever watched Reverend Ike? Yes. Yeah, he's great. He's great. Sometimes I need a little Reverend Ike vibes in my life. So every once in a while, I will go and I'll put on a compilation video of him teaching. Um, I think you're calling that out because he had like 12 Rolls Royces and multiple mansions and all this type of stuff. He was a controversial figure for that because he manifested, um, he had so much wealth pouring in from his congregation. But
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't judge him in that way. I just see him as living the wish fulfilled and being also an example of prosperity and success that a lot of people learned from. That's very cool. Rev Ike was teaching Neville back then. Yeah, of course. They called him a heretic for being wealthy. People will say a lot of things, but when you're the author, you realize that it actually doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks or says. Reverend Ike is cool. Just saw him on YouTube for the first time about a month ago. He seems fun. Yeah, that's how I would describe him. He's fun. Heart breathing coherence. Open my heart. Yes. Any tips or tricks to shorten the bridge? Yeah. So, shortening the bridge. Frank, you take that one. Any tips or tricks for shortening the bridge of incidents? And then I'll
Yes,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
do. It's completely forgetting about it, but it must, for me, I must do the meditation and imaginal scene as as good as I can.
Yep.
If I do it properly
Yes.
and then I forget about it, then it happens very quickly.
Yes.
I have some
Naturally.
examples.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Doing it. So this is a skill, right? Doing the imaginal scene is a skill. I think some people sometimes don't appreciate that we're talking about being masters in the earth plane. And this is a skill that is one of our skills in our toolbox of being a master. So resilience is a skill, heart coherence is a skill, writing the scenes are a skill, or doing simulations, as my last guest, Joe Roca, calls it. Simulations is a skill. So these are skills, and they're not life skills. They're actually eternal life skills because we're
Mm.
we're we're consciousness beings, and this is what we do for forever. We're just getting really good at it on the earth plane. So how to shorten the bridge of incidents? Well, first of all, it's kind of like asking how to give birth to a baby early. So I just want to call that out. Like some things, they just do require gestation time. And so part of this is being okay with accepting that it'll come at exactly the right time. But to shorten the bridge of
Mhm.
incidents, the number one thing you can do is to not be a source of resistance. So how do you make a plant grow faster? Well, you water it, you fertilize it, but not too much. And you don't dig it up every 24 hours to see if it's grown anymore.
Mhm.
It's like you put a seed and you're like, dig it up. Oh, did it sprout yet? Nope. Oh, did it sprout yet?
Yeah.
Nope. Right. Which is
Hmm.
obviously going to really expand the amount of time necessary to grow this tree. Okay. So be a cooperative component. Um, I like the idea of following leads because when you're the author of your reality, then plot twists can be written in at any moment. And a plot twist can take you onto a completely different timeline. And I think a lot of people get invitations of plot twists from things that they want. So meaning that things that they want come knocking on their door, and some people do not accept the invitation because they prefer to remain comfortable. So they think that they act like they want this other life, but their preference for comfort exceeds their desire for the other life. And as long as that remains true, they will not manifest that other life because it's voluntary and by consent, right? We have to consent, to change, and part of consenting to the change. Like it's not going to happen. It's not going to force us, right? So part of consenting to the change is being willing to give up the comfort of the habitual present to embrace the magic of the unknown, which is the bridge that leads to the known, which is the seen.
So it's like the universe, so to speak, is ready and it's always
Ready?
ready.
Trillionth of a second, 23 trillionth of a second. Yeah,
Mhm.
ready.
And it's like it's in me whether I can, overcome a certain limiting belief or something like that, or become aware of it. and remove it.
Being a cooperative component, being in alignment, right? Being able to
Yeah,
receive
being in
it.
alignment.
Yeah. 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 And sometimes it's like these little things that you hear these stories, Flossie talks about this. Neville less so, but like a lot of the mystics did talk about things like this, like, um, praying for a partner, right? Manifesting a partner, and then like actively making space in your house, right? Because if you want to live with somebody, right, but like you've been living by yourself for years, right? You're really in the habit of being by yourself. So like there's the energy is like there's how they say like the nature abhors a vacuum, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it tries to fill in empty space, right? So it's like you really want a partner, like go clean out half your closet, right?
Mm.
Go clean out a drawer where they're going to keep their toiletries, like put two pillows on the bed, get a second set of plates, right? Like actively prepare because if you wrote the scene, then it's coming. So be ready for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I find that the things that line up that I do, I kind of just do them because I feel like it. Like I literally just I feel like doing this and I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm just breaking it down.
Yeah.
But if you were to observe me, it's like you wouldn't have any idea like what like if there's anything special going because honestly for me like nothing special is going on like um but like if I were to do those things if I were to like start making space in my closet and buy a second chair or something like that I would do it I would have to only the only way that I would do it is if I was literally like compelled to do it. Not
Just feel
because I'm like
completely normal, natural.
self-conscious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Gotcha.
know what I mean?
Yes. So that's profound alignment where you're just doing it naturally. That's the ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I agree with that. I think those suggestions, I think they're just that. They're suggestions, but start to think that way of like, how can I be a cooperative component? And then it should feel completely normal
And
and
then
natural.
it will, yes, and then it will have you will or I will being in alignment, I will have those thoughts to do something and then I will do it.
Yeah.
Hmm. But I find that I used to be so unaware of like whether I was forcing something or not.
Right. 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 That
So
makes
like
sense.
even last year, like I was kind of unaware, like I was thinking like I'm not forcing anything, but really looking back, yeah, I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that too. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
all things that as our awareness grows and evolves, we become more skillful, right? It's like mastery. Yeah. Polishing the craft. Yeah, that's good. Um, back to the chat. Uh, is there a big gap though, or are you just assuming that? That's a great question. Yeah. Big gap though, or are you just assuming that? Yeah. So I see your point. It could be that we're just assuming that there's a big gap, but like, if you're just to throw out a random example, right? So like let's say you're unemployed, you're living in your family member's basement, you don't have any friends. I'm just kind of painting an extreme example to make a analogy, right? Um, you don't own a car. You don't even have a driver's license, and like you mostly just play video games all day, let's say, okay? And then your vision is to be the CEO of a like a conglomerate, like a multinational company, um, and to travel a lot, right? Like that's a big change. Okay. So is it possible? Yeah, of course, anything is possible. But that's like a substantial shift in state of being, and then all of the trappings of your life are going to change. Right. Like you're probably going to be getting a driver's license, you're going to own a car, you're going to like move, you're going to be traveling, like your relationship with people. Like it's literally like all of your houses of life would change. Right. So like but to your point, it may not be that way, right? So like we don't want to create more like let's not create problems that aren't already there. So I see there's wisdom to the question, right? So it's like is there a big gap? like the one I just described, or is it, uh, potentially just something that we're inventing because it feels still not natural, right? Because if it truly feels natural, it shouldn't really feel like there is much of a gap. So there's that also. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Frank is very green today. Yes. Yes, Frank is green today. In fact, I made the joke with him earlier. I was like, he hopped on this live stream a month and a half later, but he has the same background and he's wearing the same shirt.
We're the same thing.
It's almost like we just never quit. We just kept
Oh
right on
my
going.
goodness,
For
that's
six
funny.
weeks, we were just
Yeah.
chatting on. I don't know if I'm wearing the same thing, but still, I just thought that was hilarious. That was good. Favorite Neville book, Law and the Promise. Is Orlana's. Freedom for All is Moon Bunnies. Um, Power of Awareness. I can't choose one. Each one is a masterpiece. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Each one is a masterpiece.
Yeah, I really like Faith is Your Fortune.
Faith is your fortune.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Crystal Clear says, my fastest manifestations come when I can just declare this is how it's going to be, and it happens the way I want in a matter of minutes. Unfortunately, I haven't mastered my faith in myself, but I will. Yes. When I can just declare this is how it's going to be. Okay, so I can definitely relate to that. So when I just set in my awareness that this just simply is the way something is, and it's like when it's like when your mom says like um like like my mind's made up. You're gonna not do that no matter what. Like you're done, right? And it's like, okay, mom said, like it's just that's just the way it is, right? It's like you go there, like you go like epic
Hmm.
in that way. Like, nope, that's just is the way it is. And like you're not gonna accept any other answer. That's a very powerful state of being. And it definitely like with that's the slamming of the door. And doing that, like the Abdullah, Barbados store. No, you are in Barbados and you went first class, slam, like
Mm,
that's what that is, right? So it's like doing that, it's a very powerful state of being. And yes, it can be a very profound, not profound, but poignant, right? Potent way to just
hmm.
like choose a reality. Yes. And then you alluded to faith in yourself, which is just simply a matter of doing that a couple of times, and then you start to realize that your words have power. Your assertions have power. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was thinking that the faith it becomes easier and easier,
Yes, with
or it becomes
evidence.
less difficult.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, less difficult.
Yeah, like with the evidence, right? And like the only way for me to have gotten started was to actually just do it.
Yeah.
Like I started when I had no, like I started when I had no experience in it. I
Yeah.
was testing it out.
Yep.
So in a way, it's like I kind of earned my way up and up and up. And yeah, without actually doing it, then I wouldn't have the the experience to build upon.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about for tonight? You talked about your meditation, right? We talked about the Shakti mat.
Mhm.
We talked about time preference. That was one
Mhm.
thing I had in the back of my mind I wanted to talk
Talk about gratefulness for
about
the
gratefulness,
moment.
appreciation, the
Hmm.
perfection of the present moment. That's so
Hmm.
powerful.
And I
Yeah.
love the comments from the chat.
Yeah, the chat is great. You guys are amazing. Thank you, everyone who comes on and shares. And I know there's a lot of you that are just listening and not talking, and that's cool too. We feel your presence. But thank you for being just such an awesome community. Um, y'all make this a lot of fun. So thank you for that. Very cool.
Yeah, but
Uh,
otherwise, I'm complete.
are you complete? Yeah, no final
Yeah.
thoughts?
Thank you for having me. And I think that having these things is so valuable. Having these like Neville and chills is so valuable because we get to see how real you are. and your guests are.
Mm,
And
mm,
it's not like this it's not just like a easy street for these people who are on YouTube, you
yeah.
know. I mean
Wow.
at first, but then, that's the whole point is to like manifest what we desire.
Yes.
So yeah, awesome. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Yeah. Thank you for being on, Frank. Always a pleasure.
My
And
pleasure.
I'm glad we had a chance to do this. Yeah, so looking ahead, we've got another Sunday Mystery. Did you catch the last Sunday Mystery School, Frank?
No, I didn't.
You did not.
I could
So we
probably
just,
catch it tonight
oh yeah, check it
or
out.
like
Yeah, so
rewatch it.
we
Yeah.
completed the eighth episode, which is also the conclusion of lesson one. And so this coming Sunday, we will start on lesson two, which is
Cool.
assumptions hardened into fact. That should be
Awesome.
looking forward to that.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Until next time, my friends, imagine wisely, write your beautiful reality into being. And I'll see you all on Sunday for Mystery School. Take care,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.